Hello, welcome to our painting, printing, making all sorts of miniature show today. Our area is a little bit thrown around in a mess. We're working on rebuilding this. It's not really a studio. It's a workshop. Hi, UO Gem. So we've been cleaning things up a bit, so there's not paint bottles scattered everywhere right now. You probably hear in the background our 3D printers are running. If you want to lean this way, people can see them. There's a little tiny... Oh, there's our 3D printers back here. And we are going to be working on some scatter. We just recently finished our big dungeon set. And now we're going to just be doing a little filler stuff while we transition the space into maybe a little bit more exciting view for everyone watching at home. Because this was sort of ad hoc in the beginning, and we're trying to make it a little better as we go forward here.
So we'll be finishing up some barrels. We'll be doing some washing on those to make them look a little more worn.
Ooh, barrels. That's what you're working on. And you finished your crates here. These nice wooden crates. They're all set to go.
Now I'll be doing chests.
Some chests, and you have a bright red explosive barrel as well.
Oh yeah, I need to get the feedback.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there'll be touch-up necessary.
Just make sure you get the flat red and not the gloss red. What I'll be working on are tents. So this is going to be a very intense process. These are fairly freshly printed and primed tents that we have. I'm going to be doing them in a sort of canvas style. That's my main project today. I have 5 of them here. So that should be fun. Pretty straightforward, simple paint, but probably with a little more detail as I go along. All of these pieces that you're seeing here, we've 3D printed on those printers we showed you earlier. Hey, Roz. And we 3D printed them ourselves. The designs, if you're interested in the designers, are available on, you can see where they are, who they are, on our website, DysonDungeons.com, at the Attributions tab. You can see all of the designers for all of these pieces that we're doing. They're all fantastic. And if you want to see the pieces in action, we have a D&D stream that we use these on, which airs on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern on Twitch here on this channel that you're watching right now. If you're watching on YouTube, and if you're watching live, you can see all of these on YouTube. We've been uploading, studiously uploading all of our recorded content onto YouTube. So we're going to keep doing that, and hopefully we'll see you on YouTube as well. And yeah, I guess we can probably dig in, unless am I forgetting anything with my opening?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
No, I'm going to be just using a bunch of little colors, bits of color to highlight, like the bands on the barrel and the bands on the chest, and the bands on the chest, and then wash these. I think we're going to try an umber wash on these
To make them a little rusty.
Yeah. So actually, when you get the umber wash out for the tents,
Yep.
probably just do those at the same time.
So my base coat for canvas look, I'm going to be using this. It's a buff color. It's called buff. I don't know why it's called buff, but it is. And then I'm going to be using a little umber wash, which is brown wash, for some detailing later on.
And I'm using the metallic paint called steel, which is basically silver paint with some black wash mixed in with it.
All right.
That's a little ball bearing inside of it that's used to make sure that it's mixed up.
Hi, Linsis. Welcome. I am just finishing our intro here, and if you're interested, I'm doing some tents, little miniature tents today. They'll be a little more visible as I put some paint on them. My primer didn't go on great, so I'll probably do a second coat, because it's not quite as thorough as I'd like. That happens. So my main goal is to just get this color up on here at first, and then I'll make sure it's more consistent as I go. Alright, so that's gonna be the color, the base color of my tent here. And I'm using a nice big brush because I just need to lay in a whole lot of color over a larger surface area. And that makes it a little easier. I couldn't really do as much detail work with something like this, but for what I am doing here, it will be pretty good. And you'll start to see some of the detail come out as I get some color on it. So like, for example, there's a stitch that runs down the side here. It's still pretty wet, so it's hard to see. But there's like some patches and stitching on the tent itself that I'm going to try and bring out a bit with my wash later on. So, here we go. And I'm giving it a little extra coating because the primer I used didn't adhere great. For the sake of time, I had just brushed on the primer. And I'm gonna let that dry and then do another coat, but there's a nice little canvas tent. So I have 4 more of these. I have 5 tents today. And depending on how quickly we get through things, we have a couple other projects we might work on. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Some fun little things. But otherwise, we are going to be doing a big deconstruction of our current setup so we can improve and hopefully by next Tuesday have it all set up for a better view of everything we're doing, stuff like that. Hopefully. It's gonna take a bit of work, so we're gonna see how far we get. There we go. And there's the first pass on the base coat for the second tent. Not too bad. I'm not in love with the primer that I used. It's made for an airbrush, and I just didn't have time to set up a full airbrush before the stream. So it didn't go on quite the way I wanted it to. That's okay. This first coat is sort of operating like a primer. And for people who don't paint a lot, what a primer is a it's basically like a pre-paint paint, I guess would be the best way to describe it. It's a good paint that will adhere to a surface, in this case a printed plastic, and then that printed plastic, then whatever paint you go to apply later will adhere to it a lot better, because it's already got this primed surface to stick to. If you don't have a great priming coat on right away, you'll get this sort of translucent effect that I'm getting on these. Yeah, it's a base for the paint to stick to. That's a really good way to sum it up. And it's not exceptionally interesting. That's why I generally try to prime off camera beforehand. But, you know, with time constraints sometimes, or material constraints, sometimes you don't have the best option, but you get what works. And thank you. Yes. We are looking at, and what I'm printing on the printers behind us right now, I just started some campfires. Some of those little campfires.
Oh, yeah, those look good.
That we'll show that when it's done. That steel is looking really good against the red.
Yeah, I'm pleased with how it came out.
Once you get those bands on, we'll have to hold it up to the camera. It's looking great.
Does it look explosive?
Yeah, very explosive barrel. All right. So. Thank you. It's comfy, that's why I'm wearing it. And it's cold down here sometimes. We're in a basement, so cardigan. Yeah, need to hold it over. Or you got it. So here's the explosive barrel with the darker steel. Come on, get in focus. There we go. With the dark steel metallic. I think that looks very nice.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you don't have too much touch up either.
No, just a few spots here.
Just a couple spots.
Yeah. So I'll let that dry. And then come back to it. In the meantime, I will start painting contrasting wood color on these chests. So like
on
these crates, you can see that there's a lighter banding of this wash that doesn't show quite as much on the dark. So I'm going to do the same thing to this. The contrasting wood color. Let's see. Oh, that's painted the light color now, so it'll look like this, darker on the light. You have to use the right paint, right?
Yeah, I don't think up north here swimming next month sounds very fun. In February. Alright, so I'm gonna let those dry for just a second here. Give my brush a little clean. And then I'm gonna give them a second pass over just to get a more consistent color. We have a lot of snow where we are right now. So I'm always impressed when there's people who've never seen it. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. There's tons of places where there is no snow, but it's like such a common thing where we are that it seems like bizarre.
Not have snow right now?
No, to never have seen snow in your in your life, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty.
But
yeah, there's lots of places.
I actually kind of like snow. It depends on when. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I find snow. I really like looking at snow, and I kind of enjoy being in it, but to a point. is how I guess I'd word that. Alright. I think this is probably dry enough to do a second coat on. But as you can see, this will be a good base for like a canvas tent. And maybe some of the detail will come out now that it's been colored. So there's like this, you can see the inner bars that are holding it up and some of the stitching and flaps on it to give it this sort of rugged tent look. Alright. So, well, I guess nothing to do but go get another coat on. Yeah, that's looking a lot better with a second coat. And it's just because I was applying the primer quickly that I had to do it this way. By getting a better coat of primer on the first time, you don't have to do this quite so much. These touch-ups. But I was in a hurry, as happens.
.3D printers are singing very merrily today.
Yeah, our 3D printers are going. They're doing with the campfires we're printing back there. There's a lot of like little, especially as they get further up the fire. There's a lot of little jumps and stuff that it makes to do to make the flames. So. Carefully set that aside. I don't know how visible it is, but you can sort of see a side by side here. This is one coat, that's two. It just has a bit more consistency to it. But luckily, since we painted and primed in black, if it's not super transparent, like some parts of this are, that can actually just look like mild variation in the canvas where it's just a little darker too. So that's why if you're planning on making a fairly realistic looking mini for something like D&D or whatever you're doing, you can actually get a bit more out of your paint by doing a black print than like a bright blue or something. What's my favorite drink? Probably like a hojicha green tea, I'd say. It's got hojicha is a green tea that has roasted rice in it, so it has sort of a nutty aroma to it. It's pretty nice.
No, we haven't made that in a long time.
I know, it's been a while. I like hot drinks, so coffee, tea, things like that. If I'm going with a cold drink, maybe like a ice cold ginger ale, like one of the like extra spicy kind. Why is that strange? I don't think I have honestly ever had a Monster energy drink. I've had energy drinks, but I don't think I've had one of those. But I haven't drunk energy drinks in some time, personally. Yeah, these are looking a lot better with a second coat.
Oh yeah. Some of it might be that that's a new bottle of paint. when the pigments mixed in.
I gave it a good shaking, but it could be that, yeah. I think it's mostly down to the primer based on how it was going on. Well, you know, that makes sense then. Alright. Okay, trying to get a nice thorough coat without too many brush strokes mixed in. Just carefully going around. And also trying to not pull off paint too much with my glove, as I am coating the entirety of it in one color. There we go. Oh, the campfires are finished already. So in a few minutes after they've cooled, I'll go pull those off and we can see how they look. Yeah, I think when I was growing up and in high school and all that, the only real energy drinks we had were Red Bull. Back then, in ye olden days. And you didn't have any energy drinks.
Coffee.
Coffee. Coffee is the energy drink from when you were a kid, huh?
Well, you know, Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
Oh, that's true. I mean, Coke and Pepsi all those have caffeine in them. But it's not quite the same.
No. We had no-dos.
What a no-do?
No-dos. N-O-D-O-Z.
No, oh, like no dozing?
Mm-hmm.
What is that, like a caffeine pill?
It was a caffeine pill, yeah. It's like the equivalent of 2 cups of coffee, I think, in a pill. I think that's how they presented it. So that was, we didn't have an energy drink. You had to drink your own drink with it. You take enough of those and caffeine poisoning for the better part of a half a day or more.
Yeah, I would, but I don't really drink energy drinks anymore because I kind of have an insomnia problem where it takes me forever to fall asleep, and I feel like I'm just asking for trouble by ingesting that much extra caffeine. I'm like usually desperate to fall asleep, not stay awake. But yeah, that's always the option, just not sleeping at all, right? But something like this painting is actually pretty relaxing for me, so that helps sometimes. Finger slid, I'll have to touch that up over here. Alright, I'm gonna give these a minute to dry before I mess with them anymore. We're getting something set up. It's sort of like we technically have a Discord server, but it's not quite up and running yet, I guess is the best way to say it. Where we're working out some details on it. We just have so many different things going on that we haven't gotten it yet properly set up. So there's not much happening in it right now. Alright, those are drying. You're working on that. Maybe I'll work on a coconut.
Okay.
So these are gonna take a minute to dry. What I'm gonna work on is a coconut, which might look kind of weird here, but in our D&D campaign, we are on a desert island, and our bard has picked up a coconut so that he can use it as an instrument. So I got a coconut, used it, to eat, and now I'm gonna clean it up a little in order to be able to let him have an actual coconut on the show to play quote. Thought it might be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
it'll be a nice contrast to the gong.
Yes, it's gong. I'm thinking I'll probably start with some files. What do you think?
Yeah. There's some really coarse sandpaper in there. That might work. I can help look.
And I'm actually, because these are wet, and I don't want to cover them in coconut fibers, I'm just going to slide them up over here, away from things a bit. This is going to be one of the more unusual things we've done on the show, is clean up a coconut. It didn't crack perfectly. You can see it's got some ragged edges to it. I'm just gonna try and flatten them out a little. It won't be, exactly to shape anymore, but it's more about having a clean surface to clap together.
Most of it is really fine. Shaping.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're looking at our sandpaper options that we currently have. That's what we're doing. And I horribly distracted you from painting your chest thing. Will that be maybe one of those rasps?
Yeah, we could try this and see what happens.
Yeah. Alright, so this is a rasp. I'm gonna...
This is made from metal, but it might...
Yeah, this is more of a wood rasp. This will get a lot of hopefully, we'll try it out. I've never rasped or sanded coconut before, but I can't imagine it's that hard of a wood. This is a metal file. And this is mostly going to be to get the edges down a bit.
Yeah, when you get it closer, and try this.
Yeah, and once I get some of the larger chunks down, I'm going to try out, we have a coarser wood sandpaper. But before I jump into that, I'm gonna get those prints off and let you get back to what you're doing.
Just cleaning the brush. The paint had kind of dried on the brush. Take it off before I continue on banding this chest. I'm gonna make a couple more.
Yeah, do some wood stumps.
Oh, some stumps.
Alright, so I'm back. Here's our freshly printed campfires. Kinda cute.
You could show people what they look like when they're done, too.
Yes, I could. If I could get them to be in focus. They're there. So there are some just off the thing campfires, little circle of stones with a fire in the middle. And our finished campfire is just over. Yeah. Or are they out? They're out right now.
Yeah. Always good to see before and after, though, right? And keeps off campfire hunting.
Here we go. Here's a finished campfire. With a little piece of flocking in it. There we go. So, just printed versus finished. Kinda fun. Alright. So, those tents still look moist, wet. So let's see what a rasp does to a coconut, shall we?
Makes noise.
It's very loud. Not interacting with it as much as I would like. Yeah, it's in danger of breaking the shell, actually.
Yeah, it's likely to just crack pieces off, right?
That's what it seems to be. So, I don't like a wood rasp. It's ideal for a coconut. Let's see what a metal file does. A little better. They're not fantastic. What I feel like I really want is just like a Dremel.
No, you could get a Dremel.
You know, just go bzzz across it.
We have a Dremel.
Yeah, but that's a bit of setup. So maybe I'll tackle that later after I've reassessed it. But it's a fun experiment to try.
The other thing you could do is mark where you want it cut. Yeah, use
A saw?
A little saw, yeah.
Yeah, like a little miter saw or something.
Yeah, get a saw, cut it down so it's almost flat, and then you can use sandpaper to do the rest.
That might be a better option. I mostly just want the edges to be smooth. They don't necessarily have to be level. Because it's not that big a deal. It's a coconut.
It's not a precision instrument, right? You don't have to tune it.
No. Your tune is whatever it gives you.
Whatever clacky sound you get.
Alright. So if I go down along this line, I should get a smoother edge. Anyway, I'm gonna get away from my weird little coconut side project and check out my tents here. They're mostly dry. So, pretty soon here I have these base coated, dropping it, this base coated tent, canvas color. 5 of them. So I want to think of how I want these to do. I don't think I want to just slather them with an umber wash particularly. I want to go for maybe something a little more subtle. Some discoloring, some weathering, things like that. So with that in mind, I'll probably use, this is the smaller of the two. I'll probably use this brush, this more fine brush, to apply my umber wash. So, what I'm going to be using is a umber wash. Umber is brown, basically. And a wash is a very thinned paint. The way that works then is it lets you create a more translucent sort of effect on what you are making. So you can create sort of shading, you can do fine detail work, or you can create sort of a cohesive outer layer to everything, like I did on the cut stone dungeon, for example. How's your touch up going? Got distracted. In this case, I am going to be using umber wash to do some fine details, a little, maybe a little discoloration and shading in certain areas where there's more use. And what I want to think about as I do this is, on a tent like this, the areas that are going to be the most worn are going to be, say, the flap, where people are coming in and out. the edges that are rubbing on the supports, maybe along the ground where it's in contact with the ground regularly, and possibly the stitching where those little spots are going to start collecting dirt. You can see there's stitching in the model. So with that in mind, I'll be going over each of these tents a little carefully with an umber wash to create a sort of darkening brown effect on each of them individually. But are you ready for umber wash, or do you need a minute?
The barrels can be umber washed.
Okay. I'll let you finish your red barrel, though, which is looking very dangerous.
It should be. I hope we
use it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna call it cuckoo for coconuts. The coconut was a special guest star. It'll probably be called Tents, Scatter, and maybe a coconut. We don't use very inventive names for our painting stream. Mostly descriptive.
Or anything, actually.
What do you mean, not anything? I think our D&D ones have pretty good titles.
Our group name?
No, not our group name. We don't have a group name.
See?
It's avant-garde to not have a group name. Alright. So, I think... Let me see. Which one of these is the driest?
What was that other group we ran into? The Leaky Frickin' or something?
No, the Saltworthy.
Yeah, Leaky Frickin'.
That one seems okay. Alright. And this is canvas I'm looking at, making it look like, not leather. So, I'm not gonna go too much umber wash here in the cup. And I think I'm gonna start with the door flap, entrance flap. So this is really this is very subtle, but you can see that darker area in the center of the flap that I've put in. That's how I kind of want to start it. I don't want to go overboard with my application. Otherwise, I just have to do the whole thing. In a darker brown.
I'll let these dry. There's little nails around the outside and handles and a lock. Oop, that needs. No, I'll do the touching up later.
And I'm darkening along the bottom edge here of the tent in order to create this sort of sensation of maybe some dirt buildup along the base.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
So for the handles and the lock, I can do them in that dark aluminum and do a wash over it. Or if you think this looks okay without a wash, and I kind of think it does, I could do those in steel so that they don't look quite as shiny.
Steel would be okay. Just remember to do the back hinges as well.
Yeah, the two little hinges.
Now that you've gotten the darker color in.
There's the, this definitely will not blow up and hurt anybody barrel.
The explosive barrel. I think that's looking nice and dangerous. Another area I might want to consider getting a little darker is the areas where the tent
Dump this out and start over with the steel.
tent is rubbing along the framework that's holding it up. So that is what I'm gonna do. And I'm sort of feathering a little bit to create this shading translucent effect. This is maybe a little longer than I would normally do on a tent like this if I was just in a hurry to get a lot of tents done, but I figure it's kind of a fun, interesting way to approach it. And unlike what you saw with the stone set, where I just sort of shaded everything rapidly, you can see this is another way to make use of a wash, doing a more delicate approach like this. So compared to like this side, for example, maybe I can even do a side-by-side here. So what I'm doing is taking what is a very flat, basic color and giving it some darkness, character, things like that. And I'm going to keep working a little on this. Building in that contrast and stuff. Okay, now I'm gonna go around. Now that I have sort of this darker front, I want the rest of it to look less flat like that. What do you think of the front flap?
Oh, that looks really good.
You like that?
Mm-hmm.
So, like I did on the front, I'm gonna build out from the areas where the most dirt and stress will have formed on said tent, and kind of develop it out from there. Let it carry through the rest of the piece. So, for example, here where it's going to be staked directly on the ground, it's probably going to be a bit dirtier. And a tent's not particularly exciting as a prop, but in D&D, you're camping all the time, especially at lower levels when you can't just like magic a house into existence on a whim.
Why can't we do that? You should be able to do that, shouldn't you?
Well, I did get that cloak just recently, which I don't think has aired yet. So I won't talk about it too much, but yes. So when you're doing a lot of camping, sometimes you get attacked by bandits, for example, or other wandering monsters. There's all sorts of dangers in D&D when you're camping, so having a little place where you might get ambushed, for example, makes for a pretty fun set. Or maybe you're doing the ambushing on a group of enemies that you have stumbled upon in the middle of the night. So a tent might not be the most exciting piece to paint, but it really can help you hone in your shading skills and sort of thinking through how is this being used, while also giving you a very versatile sort of piece to use for D&D games, Pathfinder games, you know, almost any role-playing game with a combat in it. You could use something like this. The least weathered parts are going to be these sort of center parts where they're just stretched and all they get really is some weathering. But that doesn't mean they're going to be immune to it. So you want to sort of consider, I'm doing a tiny bit of dry brushing just to give it a slightly less
New look.
brand new, or honestly, when it's just, sometimes with no shading at all, it just looks like paint, you know? It doesn't read as, especially with a big flat surface like that, it's not gonna read as anything other than just a painted surface. Because everything's gonna have slight variation in it. So, I'm building it out right now, pretty well. What do you think, so?
I think that's coming along really nicely.
Yeah, you like it?
Mm-hmm.
I might get
It's taking a lot of time with it.
Well, I know, but this is just for a painting stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can show off your weathering skills.
That's it. And this is actually not all that hard to do, so if something you wanted to learn how to do, I think anyone could easily pick it up. It's just
Well, just kind of relaxing.
building up layers and just being, you know, mildly careful, but not anxious about what you're doing. And wash is very forgiving. You can push it around and stuff pretty easily. So to give a little idea of what a wash can do, this is still a little shiny because it's being dried, but this is a unwashed side versus a washed side. You get a lot more of this like variation and interest and detail just by applying some translucent paint. I might actually darken up right here in the flap a little more so it's more readable as a flap while I'm looking at it. So, something like that. It'll give you a very nice sort of dark, well-used tint feel. So, I'm gonna just keep at it and tackle the next side. I mean, I have 5/10 in an hour to fill, so I'm trying to be a little more
fillery.
Fillery here. If I was in a hurry, I could achieve a mostly similar effect using a bigger brush and do it a bit quicker. But because I like this part, I'm kind of dragging it out now. And with a wash like this, when you're applying it in small amounts, it will dry fairly quickly, which can be a blessing and a curse. But what that means is if you want a nice dark color in a part, you can actually build up layers of wash to get that saturation without having to pile a bunch up all at once and get it the way you like.
Brown is pretty much dead.
Was that the really old red brown, or is that the newer one?
No,
yeah, it's pretty empty, huh?
Yeah, it's good for like a little touch up or something, yeah. So, one more go around, touching up this little rivets around the outside. And I have to just touch up because some of them got splotchy.
I'm getting a little focused in on what I'm doing here, so I'm sorry I'm not chatting as much. I'll try and do a little better that way.
What would you like to chat about?
I don't know.
No, we talked about Midas's touch once before. That was.
Well, we could do some on-topic chatting.
Huh? What?
Like, what's been your favorite thing you've painted on this show?
Thinking the favorite thing I painted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I really like painting my minifig, and I did Nines and Jomar. That was fun to do.
I did Nines.
You did. I did Jomar.
You did Jomar.
I did one of those. And that was kind of fun.
There's something very fun about painting complicated character figures. We don't do it as much on this show as a lot of other painting streams, just because we we're building sets all the time for stuff for D&D. But there is something extremely fun about just getting sort of stuck into a complicated figure and sorting out all the little details.
Yeah, figuring out what colors should go where, and then sometimes, like with the horses we painted, sometimes you can't even tell where the detail is
until it's been painted.
Until you put the base coat on, because
it all seems to just fade into itself, it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, it does. And then you can't see where the reins are, where some of the straps are and things.
I feel like this tent's coming along. What do you think?
That's looking really good.
You like that?
Yeah, I really do. You know, it's giving it a very
weathered,
naturally weathered.
It feels like something you'd see in like a desert. I don't know. That's the vibe I'm getting from it.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, certainly the color looks that way.
Here's one next to an untouched version, so you can see just how drastic it can be.
Yeah.
Of a change. I'll probably
these chests, I think, are pretty much done.
I'll probably actually take a side-by-side picture of the finished one here next to one of these, just base coated.
We are highlighting the seams, and then along the bottom where it would get lucky. Yeah, you did a nice job. It makes it look very good.
Thank you. Just have the back to do.
Okay, so there's that. These, there's a lot of banding on these, and decided we're going to try to paint it copper just to see how it comes out.
And always repaint.
Yeah, always easy to do that. Now there's a keyhole there. A keyhole. I'm just going to use this steel paint because it's out. Instead of black.
Okay.
Paint the inside of the keyhole.
Yeah, usually a wash is actually a really good way to just fill in a tiny gap like that. Because if you put like a tiniest drop on it and just barely, it will actually like gravitate down into the hole with gravity even. So if you need to like darken a tiny cubby, sometimes a wash can be a really good way to do that. Okay.
I'll just let that sit there.
So here is a canvas tent. Not an exceptionally exciting model, but you can imagine this with a, like say, campfire next to it. You can really start to build out a scene.
Yeah, 3 or 4 dire ogres or something.
Where you're gonna get invaded. Put this on like a nice green, even green construction paper, but they also make all sorts of battle maps and stuff like that. And you can really build an interesting, fun combat out of something quite simple. And this took me, 10 minutes? Less than 10 minutes to do.
To do the shading?
The shading on that. So I'm actually going to take a picture or two quick. So excuse me. So that I have a nice side-by-side of what the difference is between a shaded and just a base coat. There we go. I'll probably post those on Instagram a little later. On our Instagram is Dice and Dungeons, I think. Did you need any umber wash?
No.
Not yet. And I guess I'll just keep going. So I do like to start with the darkest spots first and build out from there. So in the case of the tents, that's going to be the flap is where I want to enunciate the darkest place on it. Because that contrast will sort of make it stand out and you'll read it a little better. So this has sort of this flap in the front that even at a distance here on camera, you can tell, like, compared to that side, that's where the entrance is. And that's the sort of thing I want to build into this. And I'll get a little faster, I'm sure, as I do more of these, just because you get built up a little more, like you get a little more used to what you're working on and the idea behind what you're going for.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of decided on the first one you had to
Make choices.
make choices. After that,
You're replicating.
and replicating is always easier than originating, right?
So the first thing I'm doing after I get that center flap marked in a little is doing sort of a building up a gradient a little bit from the base up in order to create that lower, darker, dirtier section. And I'm gonna just sort of make sure I'm dispersing the wash fairly well in the way I want. Before it dries, you can push it around quite easily into different spots, which is what I'm doing now. And then after that, I'm gonna want to go maybe right along this inner section here. And then that will let me carefully just shade inwards towards a different part of the tent to create a little variation on what I'm doing. Same here on this side. I'm liking how this buff is turning out as a base coat with the umber as well.
Yeah, the other ones we did were darker brown, weren't they?
Yeah, we went for more of a leather tint on the other ones, and I'm really enjoying how the buff is reading. What do you think of that for an intro?
Yeah, that's good.
You like that one?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a nice thing about using a smaller brush as well. It takes a bit more to... You're only applying a little bit at a time. That also means you're not... you have a lot more control, I guess is the way I'm trying to say. I kind of like the music that's playing right now.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty relaxing.
So, excuse me, I'm listening to it a little, but give you a break from me chattering. Anyway. Just getting a little more wash into my thing here, my cup. And this has sort of this, I don't know what to call it, there's like a little patch that is on this one. So I'm gonna say that.
Oh yeah. It kind of does look like it, doesn't it? Or like a piece sewn in.
Yeah. So I'm going to play around with that as I go. See what I can do with it. I'm gonna go around the outer edge of this patch and just sort of build into the patch a little to give it this sort of gradient effect. I shift around a lot when I'm painting. I've noticed. I change my painting position constantly.
It's a good thing you don't get cramped up that way then.
That's my strategy, I'm sure. It's definitely not like a...
Other than it's not just like you're wiggly.
It's definitely not that I'm just wiggly. I'm gonna go with I'm intentionally avoiding cramping.
Mm-hmm. It's good to do that.
One thing I generally am going to try and avoid with these tents is any like flat lines between in the shading. I want it to all look kind of like if it's darker it's because of water damage or wear or something. I don't want any areas that look like there's just like a flat line of darker brown. Alrighty.
I think a little bit more under the
edge.
Thing, yeah.
These aren't tiles. That's correct. We're doing tents and boxes.
Chests.
That's a very coppery box.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think that I would like to see it with a little black wash just carefully added to it.
That's a good idea. So here's a question.
There's
these little hobnails holding the copper down. Should those be copper?
No,
Or
those should be
steel.
Those should be steel.
Yeah, they should. I should paint those little dots.
So you're also taking extra time to do details that are maybe not
Yeah, kind of weightless otherwise, right?
necessary. But that can be some of the fun of just figuring it out as you go. Is that feeling better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to paint those little nails.
So
steel.
here is half of tent 2 done. Here's the other half yet to be done. It's quite drastic how much some umber wash can change a piece, I feel like.
Yeah, well, not as drastic as how copper banding can change a piece.
The copper is very orange. I think
there is another copper that's less orange.
But I think when you put a black wash on that, a lot of that oranginess, that brightness is going to get toned down.
This copper is less orange. Well, let me paint the nails, do some brown touch-up. and then put a wash on it and see if we need to start over. You never know, right?
No. I'm leaning a little too far forward for the camera. Right. I will back up.
When I picked the copper, I picked the orange one. Because on the sample it just looked darker. Like it would work. But it's pretty orange.
Well, I think it's still worth trying to wash black. I think it'll look pretty nice. It just being darkened slightly. You have one alternative, of course. You carefully apply the green wash to it. To patina it, if you want it to look like an old chest. Yeah?
I wonder how that would look.
I have no idea.
You know, the worst that can come of it is just having to do it over, right?
Yeah, probably. I can't foresee anything like a Godzilla attack or anything like that coming just from trying out a new paint style. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It just doesn't seem likely. But if it could, that would probably be the worst that could happen. Okay, I think this side's mostly done. I just want to do a tiny bit of tone adjustment on some of these spots. Yeah, what do you think so far?
That one's really, I like that one a lot.
You like this one a lot? All I have left is to throw it around and then get it the back. And the back is a much quicker bit. It's fairly straightforward what I need to do with it. It has these nice semi-overhanging sections that I want to tone in a little. Like so. And then I'll build out from there. Like so. And then up from the ground. Just get that tone built in. And this has a little stitch along it, so I'm gonna put a little emphasis coming out of there, but fairly quick order. It is. It is all done.
Let's see, we don't have a black washout, do we?
No. Yeah, need to grab one?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I only need like a drop for the amount you're doing. So here's some finished 10s. Which one should I do next? Left, middle, or right?
Left.
Left. Gonna give it a quick once over. This one looks like it mostly just has a little... I think this is the same one as this one in terms of print. So with that in mind, I'm gonna try and paint it a little different so it feels different than this one. But I will want to, you know, still maintain the general ideas of paint the darker parts on the bottom so it looks dirtier along the bottom and then along the edges and posts. Alright. Going. I always take the most time on the front for some reason. I guess it's just to get me sort of started on what the next one will look like. So I'm gonna go for a little lighter look on the front of this one compared to that one, just so it gives a little variation. It's looking pretty good, don't you think?
That helps a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it really tones down that copper brightness.
I'm going to use the other color copper on the other one out. I don't know if it'll make much difference or not. Yeah, I toned it down a lot.
Okay. There's a front. And I'm gonna be going around the sides now. So I'm starting off here by building up that shadow from the bottom up, as usual. Those stumps have been finished for a little bit, haven't they? I've been sort of zoned in.
I hadn't been paying attention to the printers.
That's alright. They can take a minute break. Okay, building up that darker bottom. Like so. And now I'm gonna go, I think, top down here as well. Creating a nice variation throughout. Yep. This is the relaxing part where I can just sort of focus in on what I'm doing. I'm not jumping from thing to thing anymore. I find this part the best. Wonder, yeah. Our mic's definitely not picking up that dog barking.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. We have a dog barking upstairs. Probably like a delivery truck or something. Something unforgivable like that.
Mm-hmm. Intruder alert.
What do you think so far?
Let me see that side.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the seam, you have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
No. I got a big splotch of paint where I didn't want it.
Oh.
Guess I'll have to touch that up.
So you can see how drastic a change all this shading makes to these tents. It's kinda nice, I think. How much you can make. Even like a tent, these tents aren't not complex shapes. They're little, I don't know, they're not pyramids. What do you call this? A long triangle?
Mm-hmm. An elongated triangle.
An elongated, a 3D triangle. I don't know. I was bad at geometry. There. What do you think?
That's good.
You like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On to the next side then. And I have about half an hour, 2.5 to do. I think I can get through these within all of these by the end of the episode here. So, if anyone's just joining us or just wondering what we're up to, these are all miniatures that we have 3D printed here. And the 3D printer is back behind us there. We paint them for a D&D stream we do. That's live on, well, it airs on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern here on this Twitch channel. We do this painting Tuesdays and Fridays. Today's Friday, yeah. Tuesdays and Fridays at 3 p.m. and usually end around 5 p.m. about half an hour from now. Depending on what project we're doing, it can vary a little when we end, but any of the 3D model designs that you see on the show, these tents, for example, the dungeon tiles we've been working on, if you're looking at who designed them, you can go to our website, dicendungeons.com, and under the Attributions tab, we have a list of all the 3D designers that have been able to integrate into our production. They're all fantastic, and you should check them out. Otherwise, if you're looking to just hang out and chat with us, my wife and I do a YouTube gaming stream. It's Mondays through Thursdays, starting at about 9 p.m. Eastern, and it usually goes until about midnight or so. So if you want to just hang out and chat with us while we play some games, that's a good place to do it. Any of those, though, feel free to come check us out. My little mid-show plug there.
Good plugging. Well plugged.
And if you like what we're doing, we have an archive of all of our painting streams on YouTube. Dice and Dungeons on YouTube. And that has all of the painting we've done up till probably this episode, I think. Maybe there's one that hasn't come up yet, but you can check out some pretty cool projects that we did over the months. Does that look okay?
A little more on the seam here.
More on the seam?
Yeah.
I was trying to keep things a little
more
light.
on this one.
A little more light, a little lighter, but I can get a little more. Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a notification? I'm horrible at Twitch, honestly, but yeah, click the notification bell if there is one on everything. Yeah, do that for sure. Or if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. Isn't that what they always say? Definitely do those things. It probably would actually help us. Like they always say. It would really help me out if you just hit that notification bell, like and subscribe. I don't know what else. they say in all you always say I was in all the YouTube videos and stuff. But I assume it would actually help. I don't know. If they keep saying it would help, it must mean it would. So feel free to if you want to. My hard sell right there.
That was really...
What VPN should you use? We're not currently sponsored by a VPN, so use whatever one you want. I don't think we're not sponsored by a VPN or that one mobile game like Raid or anything like that. No Blue Apron or I'm trying to think on NPR. They're always sponsored. Any cool that you need to play? No. There's no cool mobiles out there that you need to play. Only play mobile if you want to. In fact, only play any game that you want to. You shouldn't need to play any of them. That's my plug. Unless someone pays us, then you definitely need to play that game.
Mm-hmm.
I will take money. I will not turn that down.
This copper's a lot less orange than the other one.
It is a lot less orange. Less saturated.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna test both the green and the umber wash on this color. See how it looks.
I could also, I'm willing, I'll advertise almost anything if people want to pay me. Like, you have like a food delivery service or like some sort of like website.
Umber, right?
Yeah. Maybe like, do you have like a website builder? I'll advertise that for sure. Whatever. That's not true though. I won't advertise anything, but you know.
I didn't get any on the brush.
I don't have all that much in the cup right now. I'm trying to be fairly, you know, keep a reasonable amount in at a time. We should do shout out Twitters for $5 a pop. Yeah, what is a shout out Twitter? Is that just like a single tweet, $5, and I'll say like, we'll tweet out like, you should definitely go read this book by this person. It's definitely $5 worth of book. I'm not good at ad reads, by the way. Like, personally. Lexi's much better at it than I am. That's why she keeps making me do it on the D&D show. Because she thinks it's funny how bad I am at it. Especially when she doesn't warn me ahead of time. How, yeah.
It's like, do we have any announcements? Gloria, you take it away.
And I'm just, yeah, completely catch me off guard. And then I'm just stumbling through, like, something that I'm making up on the spot. It's very mean, I think. Yeah, I'll just pretend while I'm sitting at the table with everyone else that I have a terrible connection, and I'm just like, oh, I'm breaking up. I can't. And then just sit there quietly and stare at Lexi until she moves on. That's my plan.
So that's what that looks like with an umber and a green wash.
Umber and green?
Well, there's umber.
I see. Not umber and then green.
No,
but
umber or green.
I'm not sure it reads terribly much as like patinaed copper with the green.
No, it just kind of darkens it.
Yeah. What about like a blue? Yeah. My screen froze. There's nothing I can do.
Actually, I think since the green just kind of dulls it, but there's a little bit of greenish in it, I think I'm just going to use that.
Okay.
I'm going to go with it.
Just playing around, experimenting a little here.
This is how this other one turned out.
It's got, I don't know, it feels kind of piratey to me. If it would focus. Come on. Okay. There it is. I don't know, I think that looks pretty nice.
Need to do the rivets here. Almost forgot to do the rivets.
Now, focus back here. Camera, thank you. The autofocus on these cameras it's fine. I have to play with it sometimes. The sort of tent vibe I'm getting from these. Yeah, everything is a mimic. Everything. Why don't you climb inside this tent? Nothing bad's gonna happen. Just go to sleep. Forever. Right?
We haven't been eaten by a tent yet.
I don't think we've encountered a mimic in our game yet.
I think you're right, I don't think we have.
The sort of vibe I'm getting from these tents is like in the archaeology camps in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Sort of.
Yeah, this is kind of like that, isn't it?
It's sort of my mental vibe I'm getting from all of these tents. The room where, yeah, some place where everything is a mimic except the one thing that you need to get. That'd be a good combat heavy episode. And then when you get back, it turns out you yourself were a mimic the whole time. Whoa. What do you think?
Yeah, that's good. You're doing a much lighter one.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some variation. These are actually, 4 of these are the same tent. So I'm trying to create the difference and variation between tents, just with the wash itself. And it kind of goes to show you how how different you can make each one look just by applying it a little bit different. Oh yeah, we would definitely walk immediately to the very first item that we try will be at the right one, and her whole encounter will just have to get shelved. I think we only get lucky when it's inconvenient.
It is about the only time.
I'm building up this lower gradient down here. It's a little hard to see, but I want to have it be sort of this dark to light effect subtly. Like that. And then I can build on top of that on the sides and stuff.
It kind of came out okay.
Yeah, that one looks... I kind of like that one a little more than the other.
Yeah?
Yeah, that less orange copper. It has a nicer feel on the eyes.
Yeah, and then I did the green on it. And you can, it is sort of greenish. Did I redo the other one?
Only if you feel like it. I think it's totally fine. Yeah, it's already 4:45, so it depends on it, what else you have to do, I guess.
Well, we've got these barrels. They need to be underwashed.
Right.
I think you wanted umber rather than black.
Well, it might be. We have a lot of barrels with a nice iron, dark iron look to them, so it might be a nice little change of pace to give them like a rusty feel. But
let's see what happens.
I have done rust with an umber wash before. It usually looks pretty nice. What do you think of that sign?
That one looks good.
Okay, and then the back side, and then I only have one more to do. Not too bad.
What's that?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah? Too much? Too little?
I'd say it's either good to too much.
Okay.
You
Go a
can
little
you
lighter
can go
instead of
lighter, but you don't need to go any heavier. All right, there's the back side, and we're at 4 nice worn tenths out of 5. Last one. Or I could just leave it like that. That wouldn't look out of place, right?
No, not at all. It would look like the rookie tent.
The what?
The newbie. The newbie comes in with a brand new tent.
Although, this looks a little too flat to even be a brand new tent. I would actually want to do some fine line detailing on it.
Something, right?
You know, just to make it not so monolithically beige. I'm gonna get this brush a nice thorough cleaning when I'm done, because it's been
Really well soaked.
nicely soaked in wash all day today. But I have one more to get through. So, I'm going through the exact same process I've been doing lately, starting with the front flap of the tent here, because that's the spot I want to be sort of darkest, and then building out from there.
This one's much more lightly weathered.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. And I'm just going along where the sort of darkest weathering spots would be. Do you want me to try and make this the newbie tent and make it a little less weathered than everything else?
No.
Okay. Go for consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Understood. But, yeah, it might be a little odd looking at these, but these 3 are all the same exact model. So their shape is exactly the same, but I'm trying to give them a little variation so that they don't all look like carbon copies of each other. And the one I'm doing now is also the same model. So you can actually develop variation through the way you paint and finish these things. Okay. That should be good on the front. Now we'll move around to the side. So, yeah, these tents are, I mean, you know, it's just a tent. It's a single color. It's not that, like, complicated in a lot of ways. But if you start to think about weathering and how it would weather, especially something like this that might sit out in the rain and get moved, packed, folded, unpacked, stretched, things like that. It's like something that's in constant use, constantly being torn down, put away, put back in inclement weather of all sorts. Maybe you fell in the river with your backpack, you know. There's like so many things that can happen to something as simple as a tent. that you can create a lot of it's almost like creating a little story about the object that you're painting by thinking about the way in which it's weathered. So something fun I might do on this one is once I've gotten it, you know, roughly weathered in here, maybe I'll create like a splotch where something was spilled on it. Stuff like that you can do to create a subtle interest in the figure, even something as simple as a tent. And that's part of the joy of painting, I think. The fun of it is, especially doing miniatures like this, is you get to really just sort of create that narrative in the piece. That subtle narrative.
And there we are. Perfect.
You got all the barrels painted? Nice.
Yep, and then two chests with they look very different from each other.
They do. The different banding colors really drastically change how they look.
Mm-hmm. So we'll have leave them both that way.
And always
be used in different times and different places.
Always change them later too if you decide you don't like it.
Oh yeah, and there's the other barrel.
The explosive
very
red.
Much not like
the bright red explosive barrel. One thing you could do that might be nice with the red one, take a thin brush like this and a little black wash and just run it in the lines between the staves to like bring out the darkness just as like a contrast.
What's a thought? With a little black wash maybe?
Yeah, just take a touch of black wash and don't even like shade it out from it. Just let it sit in the in between the staves of the barrel as like a little pop, a visual pop.
I'll do that next time.
Next time?
Yeah. I just got a real mess here. It's gonna take some cleaning.
What did you do?
Oh, I've just got wash and steel and copper. And these might be single-use cups.
Drop some alcohol in them, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, we've got a whole 80 of those, don't we?
We have a lot of little cups. We bought them in bulk. And I am halfway done with this tent, the last tent. Although I might need a tiny drop or two more umber to get there. I'm kind of running out in my cup here.
Really pretty the way it's all swirly there.
Oh, the little metal flake in it. Yeah, metal paint's kind of neat, I think. I like metallics a lot.
Yeah, those tents are looking really good.
You like them?
Yeah, I really like the way they came out.
Just
They're
taking
nice job shading them.
a little
Putting a
time.
lot of variation on them.
Yeah, these three are the same tent.
Mm-hmm. I think the chest came out okay too.
Oh, the wooden chests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they look nice.
There we go. Scatter.
Yeah, scatter's sort of the nickname for little things you disperse over an area for added effect. Sort of the go-to nickname. I'll call them doodads sometimes. Alright, last little bit here.
A nice set of tents.
Maybe we'll replace the current ones with these.
No, well, no, it's a different thing. Those
It's
are
a different
really dark
style.
leather. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely a different kind of tent.
Style of tent, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this light buff color is.
Pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
Alright, so I got through 5 tents. Little camp all set to go. Just get a quick rinse on that, set that out of the way, and you can quickly sort of imagine how fun someone might have setting up a little campsite for D&D. Maybe you have 5 players and each want their own tent, and you throw a little fire in the middle, and you have a little campsite. Put that on like a green field or something like that. I think that's pretty neat. So,
Yep, looks good.
maybe we'll see more stuff like this soon. We got a whole bunch going on, so I'm gonna take some pictures. Check them out on Instagram if you want. But we're our next show that you can watch is gonna be the official D&D stream that we do. It's not like officially Dungeons and Dragons, but it's our main big show.
Really big shoe.
Where we use things like this to fight around. And that show is on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can hear my great performance and ad read right now.
Mm-hmm.
So check us out there. If you want to see any of our backlog of painting or D&D or video games, we have those all up on our YouTube channel, which is worth a watch. And that's just Dice and Dungeons on YouTube. Otherwise, we'll be back painting again Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Don't know what we'll be painting yet, but hopefully our studio will look a little different. Our workroom studio thing will look a little different then. So thanks for coming, everyone, and we will hopefully see you all soon.